Hello, my name is Kelvin Kibet. Today we are going to learn on barriers to communication. So by the end of this video, you should be able to describe the principles of effective communication, explain why communication breaks down, identify barriers that interfere with effective communication, and lastly, list strategies for improving communication. So number one, barrier, or before that, we'll look at the principles of effective communication. So number one, clarity. This is the clarity of the thought and expression. It is important when the idea is being generated in the mind of the sender. So clarity of expression, the following points deserve attention. Number one, use of simple words. Simple words is more effective than ever. Number two, use of concrete expression. This provides visual images which are easy to register. So instead of vague generalized statements which give definite facts. Next, we have the prefer active construction. These are easy to understand other than passive. For instance, in the passive form, and I quote, your report will be discussed by the committee, end of quote, but in the active form, the committee will discuss the report. So lastly, avoid excessive use of infinite. Have the completeness. Completeness of facts is absolutely, or incomplete communication lead to ineffective use of action to the message. This is because it leaves a number of questions unanswered. The messages should be well organized in such a way that the reader is not in doubt about the details contained in it. The following aspects should be taken into consideration for communication completeness. So number one, while answering a letter, include all the relevant details and ensure you answer all the questions. So number two, ensure to consider the 5 WS question, i.e. who, what, where, when, and why. You have the conciseness. It is important for your messages to be straightforward and straight to the point, but not loading the message with irrelevant and unnecessary details. Written text should be as brief as possible, but not at the expense of clarity, correctness, or courtesy. If the reader feels that he or she is wasting time on your message, he or she may opt to disregard it. How to achieve consciousness? Number one, include only relevant factors or facts and details. Number two, avoid repetition. Number three, avoid words or word expression or use of figures of speech and ambiguous words. Number four, organize your work well, i.e. the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. Lastly, the message should be coherent, i.e. it should hold onto the top. You have consideration. We must show consideration to our readers. So the attitude, avoid I, we in your message. The you attitude is highly recommended for it shows respect and consideration for the recipient. It makes the reader see the letter from this point of view. You have number two, emphasize positive and pleasant statement. In case where one has to send a message of regret, use a positive and pleasant word. For instance, for negative expression, we'll say, we are sorry to inform you that you have not been admitted to this school. The positive side of it, for instance, we'll say, thank you for your application for a course in microfinance. So we'll continue. Thank you for your application for a course in microfinance. You are however advised that commencement date is just next year. Number three, impact integrity to your message. Showing integrity perhaps is the best way to show consideration. We have the ethical principles of sincerity and fairness we should observe. So number one, courtesy. This is the considerate and friendly behavior. The following principles helps or help to promote courtesy. Number one, answer the letter promptly. Answer the letter should be the same day you receive it. Number two, omit irritating negative expression. For instance, you forgot, you did not, you failed, we regret. Number three, apologize for an omission. Express your regret for something you have overlooked. Number four, thank generally for a favor. Correctness. Give correct facts. This entails use of or expressing them in a correct language. One should not transmit any message unless they are absolutely sure it's correct. Number two, message at the right time. Message should be transmitted and responded to the most appropriate time. Outdated information is useless. Message is most effective if sent at the right time. Number three, send messages in the correct style. Adapt your message to the needs of the receiver. Consider this education background, specialized knowledge. Second last item, why does communication break down? So what are barriers? So barriers, these are those things that act to prevent effective communication. Anything that impedes the free flow of ideas, these barriers act as physical, mental, emotional, physical blocks and result in failure of communication or miscommunication. So barriers interfere with active listening and careful response. They do not let the receiver pay complete attention to the message. Owing to the barriers in communication, you cannot concentrate on what is being told to you, or you may fail to receive the message 100%. These barriers act as physical, mental, emotional, psychological levels, so they contribute to the failure of communication or cause miscommunication. Lastly, before we end our video, we look at the physical barriers. So these are noise, some physical barriers, blocks effective communication. For example, receiving who wears here, protection, probably could not hear someone yelling, fire. So see, we have the time and distance. The thousands of miles between New York and Paris and the time zones differences can complicate communication in a global organization. We have the human physical disorder. For instance, one may not be hearing something carefully because the ears have something in it or it's a medical condition. Lastly, barriers relating to channel. So strong handling of channel. If a meeting, radio program or programming or one of the channel is not used according to the correct procedure and techniques, its potential for carrying a message is dissipated. So wrong selection of channels. All channels are not equal or equally useful in attaining a special objective. Failure to select a channel appropriately for the transmission of the message affect the communication process. So number three, you have the physical distraction. So failure to avoid physical distraction often obstructs successful message sending. So number four, use of inadequate channel in parallel. The more channels a communicator uses a parallel or about the same time, the more chances a communicator uses a parallel or about the same time being probably received. That's the end of the video. See you in our next video.